and whatever it could be. Before we jump into the word problems of multiplication / division, if I asked you this, if I said, if I gave you this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and asked you to add those all together, how would you do that? Anybody? Or let's do this. Let me do this one. What about 13 plus 14 plus 15 plus 16 plus 17? Could you do that in your head? Because an important thing in the mathematical world, ladies and gentlemen, is to look for, I'm all about taking some shortcuts if they're good shortcuts and they work. Looking for different patterns and things that work. Besides just adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 together individually, is there a shorter, quicker way to do that? David says,
you can add 1 and 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 7.
and that would be it. A quick way is, we talked about the commutative property and grouping things. If you put 1 and 9 together, you get 10. If you put 2 and 8 together, you get 10. If you put 3 and 7 together, you get 10. And if you put 4 and 5, 6 and 4 together, you get 10, and you're left with that oddball 5. But you could probably do that math, couldn't you? 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5 is 45. And that might be a touch bit quicker than if you try to do this. What about this one? Kind of the same deal, because if you put 13 with 17, you're going to get 30. 14 and 16 together, you get 30. 15 doesn't have a little match, but 30 plus 30 plus 15 is, how about 75? So kind of the whole point in that whole thing was, sometimes you want to look for easier ways and groupings and patterns and things like that. That doesn't have anything to do with multiplication word problems, but this does. Write this down. When you look at multiplication word problems, you should look for this sort of pattern. Usually it falls like this. The number, here's your equation. The number of groups, we'll call that the letter n, times, actually I should have made this, sorry, it should be the letter G, times the number in each group, which would be the letter n, equals some total, equals a total. That's kind of the pattern. Maybe the book writes it the other way, do you think? Number of groups. Yeah. Well, maybe they do it the other way. It doesn't really matter. Now that doesn't make a lot of sense until we jot down the problem here. Here is a problem. Write this down. The chairs were arranged in rows of 15 chairs. The chairs were arranged in rows of 15 chairs per row. If there were 360 chairs, if there were 360 chairs, how many rows would you have? I'm sure you've come across this question a million of times in your life. Would it help if that was up higher? Yeah. Maybe I can. Would it help if it was bigger? Would it help if it was squished together? Is that good? Can you read that? Pointers. how many rows would you have? So if you're putting in that in this little pattern thing, I guess the first thing you have to understand is, do you see the word group in there anywhere? No. You have to figure out what word in here is the same as group. In other words, you know, is a chair a group of something? Is a row a group of something? Is there anything else in there? No. Which one is the actual group? What word could you substitute for group or would be synonymous with group? Chairs, groups, rows, groups? Andrew says
Rows.
a row is a group of chairs. Right. So, do I know how many rows I have? Yes and or no. Shellhammer?
No.
No, because that's the question. How many rows do you have? So I don't know how many rows, so I can make that my little letter that doesn't stand for anything or stands for rows. Do I know how many chairs are in each row?
15.
Mia? 15. And do I know how many total chairs I have? It's a tough one, Brooke. 360. And then once I have this, how do I solve this equation? The nice thing about multiplication equations is you're pretty much always going to solve them by dividing, right? Unless they gave you both of these, you'd multiply. But if you don't know one of these two things on this side, you're always going to divide by the number over here. So if I divide by 15, 360 divided by 15 is, anybody? 24. There are 24 chairs, or 24 rows that have 15 chairs. How about that? This is the part where you went off. Yeah, that was a little more scary than one more. How about this? Write this one last problem down. Carver, which apparently is somebody's name. I didn't make it up, it's right under the book. Saw 30 rows of tiles. Saw 30 rows of tiles with 32 tiles in each row. With 32 tiles in each row. How many ceiling tiles? How many tiles did he see? Does that make you want to squint? Wait, first of all, does it look normal? Does anybody look at that and say, oh, that looks good? Because that might be an indication you need glasses.
It does like it looks cool.
I can't find a place to grab it. I can, but I won't. Okay, if you think about the little pattern thing there where we said you have the number of groups times the number in each group gives you a total. If I were putting that in this little equation thing there, which two of those three do I know? Do I know how many are in each group? Do I know how many groups I have? Do I know my total? Let's look at the first one. Well, first of all, what's the word for groups again? It's rows again. Do I know how many rows I have? Yes or no? How many rows do I have?
30.
I have 30 rows. Do I know how many are in each row? 32. Do I know how many total chairs I have, tiles I have? No. So in this case, you don't divide because they both fall on the same side. It is 30 times 32, which I'm sure you can do mentally, is? Should you ever do it mentally? No. But I'm sure you won't. The other thing I would warn you on is this. That does look kind of strange, doesn't it? Please be careful when you see these problems. Oh, sorry. I only warn you on this because I see people do this all the time. Those are not the same problem, nor do they have the same answer. And too often you see a 5 and a 10 and you say the answer is 2. 2 is correct for one of them, but it is not correct for the other. So let me caution you, young children. Again, the best way to go about this right now is to think of an easy problem. Any division problem will do. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. If you don't know the bottom number, if I don't know that's a 2, what do I do with those two things to get 2? Alex?
Divide them.
Divide. So 10 divided by 5. The answer to this one is 2. If I don't know the top one, what do I do with 2 and 4 to get 8? Multiply. So the answer to this one is actually 50. So please don't get in such a rush that you see that and you go, oh, the answer is 2, because that might not be the case. Correct, Hannah? Are you with me? Are you swallowing what I'm dishing out? Are you? Is there an issue here? Are you? What's the phrase? Are you?